very quickly, the reality is innovation, R&D, particularly in regional Australia, and Gold Coast is regional Australia, for us to be able to do that, we couldn't have done it without the support of government. So I'm not sure if there's any government people here, but if you are, thank you. And, we've had some incredible journeys. That first one of 3DMe, we managed to jag almost a $2 million commercialisation Australia grant, which is incredible for a small company on Gold Coast back in 2011. And that really started us on the journey. Now the reality is these are all matching funding, so we didn't get one grant, we got 900,000. Back in the day when we had a bit of coin, that was something that we could match, but the reality is with GFC, whatever, we've, Sonny and I, and God bless her, she's been so incredibly supportive as wives are to crazy people like me, is that we've had to sell everything. We've gone to that journey, to fund these things. So we got the Commercialisation Australia grant. I must admit, when we got that grant, we thought our lives would change forever. We really did. But there's another whole discussion I could have on how you work with governments and grants and post-grants, but that's for another day. That led us into a $500,000 BIDI grant, which is a business transformation grant, which is around the mining sector. That led us into another federal government grant. This is when we were rolling out the NBN, and we were the only private company awarded this grant. There was 12, I think there were 12 grants awarded with Steve Connery, I guess, was the minister at the time at the NBN. And we partnered up with TAFE and Diabetes Australia, or Diabetes Queensland, to roll out a grant around how the NBN could change the way we educate. The challenge that we had there, and this is one of the little journeys, was of course the NBN didn't quite roll out the way it was intended to. And so we were developing all these wonderful processes that could be delivered by fast broadband, but by the end of it we had to pull it back to be delivered by ADSL 2 or something. So, but again, it wasn't commercialised, which is very challenging, but that's the way it is. The wonderful thing is that with all of that, and this is the one thing with grants, is that it does help build up a bit of a reputation, particularly when and I see the next slide is the awards that we win. So the next one we got was for the Queensland Government, this Advanced Queensland Ignite Fund, and this was for V2i Real Time. And that was a real game changer, because then it allowed me to step away and actually be honest with the government and say, listen guys, the reason why we were challenged with commercialisation is that I didn't have the connections to the industry. I've now got this knowledge, I can take it to the industry that I know. And that was how we secured that grant. And then just the last one we got just recently was for the TWIG Missing Middle, which has been another great little example of how this technology has been used to help communicate some of the outcomes that DILGIP have been developing with the Missing Middle. And I'm just currently waiting on confirmation, fingers crossed. We put in for this federal government Smart Cities grant, which I think is still being, I'm not sure if you've been involved with that, Paul, but it's still under consideration. But again, it's all around that technology. So I'm not going to go through those, but they're the awards that we've won. And again, thanks to the government, but also thanks to the industry. It is quite humbling that, as I said, a little company from the Gold Coast can win that many awards, both in from a master planning point of view, from 3DMe, those 3DMe awards. We've got awards from America that sit us alongside Disney for the animations that we've done, which is quite extraordinary. In 3DMe, the Lions Club of Australia gave us their highest accolade for the work that we're doing with them around drugs and alcohol education. We had a perpetual revenue sort of model we set up with the Lions Club, where when things were going well, we're returning, I think we returned $100,000 to them, by they were selling, they got God bless them, back in the day, DVDs. We were producing DVDs on drugs and alcohol, and they were selling them for $20 at schools. That's changed now because obviously it's all online, but there's some really wonderful things there. We were honoured to win, I remember standing down at the Gold Coast Convention Centre, and I think it might have been good old, God bless him, Ron Clark, that gave us the Mayor's Corporate Responsibility Award. That was wonderful. Then the next year later, we won this thing called the Rob Scott Encouragement Award. And the two predecessors before that, at that same award, was the Rathers and the Burley Brewing Company. I thought, geez, we're in good company here. But sadly, as I said, we just couldn't commercialise it, so we moved on. We went into the mining, the resources. We won Australia's highest innovation award for our mining work. So again, incredibly proud of what we're doing. We then moved into V2i Real Time, and in the last 3 years, we've been able to jag a wildcard award for UDIA. We were finalists at one of the Property Council Awards, and just 2 months ago we were in Melbourne and we were a merit recipient for Research Development Project of the Year. So again, it's pretty interesting stuff.